coming in daily, and not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today, with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street. Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour. 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Rico with you guys as usual. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How's the day?
Oh, so far, so good.
There you
Sorry,
go.
I didn't want to burp into the mic.
I appreciate that.
So far, so good. It's a beautiful day outside.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Maybe a tad windy as I briefly look outside.
This is one of the views that I was excited for, is when the leaves start to change colors.
Yeah.
And they just start falling and you just get the breeze blowing them all over. It's a great view.
Don't care for the mess, though, of leaves.
Of leaves?
I'm not a huge leaf guy.
I mean, I don't think anybody's a fan of leaves on the ground, but I mean, it's not a mess. Like, they're just leaves.
Okay. Where do they all go?
On the floor.
On the floor. On the ground. As always, 402
What's wrong with that?
402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line, both open for you guys the entire show.
What is your complaint?
Leaves annoy me.
Why?
Once they fall, leaves annoy me.
Why?
I'm not getting yelled at right now. Nyla, see, leaves are fine. Wet leaves are awful. Wet leaves aren't awful unless they're on the ground.
Leaves, step over them. Step on them. If there's nothing, they don't do anything.
They stick to you, though.
No, they don't. What? Why are leaves sticking to you?
When they're wet.
Why are they sticking to you? I have not had a leaf stick to me.
I feel like you are obnoxiously
I'm defending
aggressive
leaves, apparently.
On this topic.
No, I'm a big leaf defender now.
Okay. Once again, 402-464
a shot at the trees for no reason.
See, David from Renew makes a really good point. They ruin your grass. You have to pick them up correctly. They have to be raked correctly. They ruin the grass. Big Bird says it's clear that Rico doesn't have to deal with leaves. See, how about this? Right?
I don't have to deal with leaves right now, but I did have to deal with leaves growing up, and guess what? It was fine.
You don't have
you rake them up and you get them in a big old pile, and then you either put them in a bag or you jump in the pile of leaves.
You jump in them, and if you ever jump in them, then you realize that, hey, that makes even more of a mess.
And then you just pick them up and you put them into bags.
See,
or,
how about this? Craig, Rico has never raked or cleaned his gutters.
That's wrong. I did all the time.
I'm just saying, I think
it's not that bad.
John and Cortland does make a good point. It makes great mulch or compost. I am curious.
Why are you anti-leaf? Why is everybody anti-leaf? Leaves are fine. Yeah. Does it take some time to rake up your yard? Yeah.
Yeah.
But guess what? You do it on a pretty decent day. You wear your hoodie, you listen to a podcast or something. And guess what else you can do? You ready for this? If it's early enough in the season, you just take your lawnmower and you just go over the leaves.
Yeah, I know. But
and then it fertilizes your grass.
Well, time out. Rico, I'm not sure if you know how fertilizer works because dry leaves do not just fertilize your grass.
They're just going to decompose in the next rain.
Anyway,
this is ridiculous.
Craig says, how about this? Craig says, I call BS, Rico. Wet leaves and gutters. You've never even looked at that.
Yes, I have.
Have you gotten up on a roof and cleaned gutters?
Mm-hmm. There's also I want to say an acorn tree. I don't know exactly. It was kind of nuts, but it was a tree in our neighbor's yard. But a lot of the branches reached over across my grandma's house. So when we were cleaning out the gutters, it was the leaves and the little acorns, little nuts.
That's my thing. I'll be honest. Like, I don't usually mind raking the leaves one go around on the yard, but by the time you pick them up, because in the fall in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's never a calm fall day. So you will rake them all in a pile or in smaller piles that are easy to pick up throughout the yard. But by the time you get done picking up one pile, the other piles have blown all over the yard. It takes about 5 or 6 go-arounds for just a medium-sized yard,
or you just
to keep it clean.
You just rake it into a pile, pick it up, put it in the bag, and you rake
Rico,
it.
I feel like you think this is way easier than it actually is.
It's not that hard. It's not that bad either.
I think it's quite time consuming.
If it's a chilly day, it's not great. If it's too hot, not that great. But it's not that bad. I don't know why. Why is everybody anti-leaf? Leaves are fine.
Oh, see,
they're not ideal. They're not perfect, but the leaves are fine. I like watching leaves fall and blow in the wind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fullback track says this is why people don't like Rico.
Ridiculous.
I that's what I'm saying. A lot of people are texting in and says, if Rico thinks leaf management isn't that bad, I'll shoot him my address now.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying.
Give me a rake and give me a pile of bags. I'll come over. I'll rake your yard.
That's another thing is then you have about, I don't know, 15 bags standing on your curb, just waiting.
Not your problem anymore.
They do, unfortunately. See, Big Bird asked, when was the last time Rico dealt with leaves as an adult?
I have not dealt with leaves as an adult.
See,
I dealt with leaves as a teenager.
That's the thing, is that.
Am I old now? Or all my bones gonna ache?
Well, no, it's not even that. I think.
Is that what it is?
You're not.
Ridiculous.
You're not viewed as the assistant or the helper anymore.
I never was.
Okay.
It was my grandma's house. She wasn't raking leaves.
Okay. Oh well. We got a lot of people.
This is ridiculous.
There's about 50 texts here.
You guys are ridiculous.
Strictly on leaves.
I will come over and rake your yard. As long as you don't have a mansion and a massive yard.
Whatever.
I'll rake your yard.
Whatever.
Sure.
So,
how much you paying?
You ready to talk football?
Rico's Leaf Service.
No. Are you ready to talk football?
Sure, I guess.
All right. But the leaves changing colors outside the window.
It's beautiful.
It's fun to watch. Once again, as you guys have found
7
out.
acres. I'm not raking.
7 acres.
That's all on you, buddy.
Hey, that's a lot of land, though. Nice job.
Yeah, hey, congratulations.
402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line. Both those open for you guys the entire show. We're getting addresses sent to us now.
Perfect.
About where Rico can now go and rake leaves.
I will
determine no problem.
I will determine how much I will charge you based on the size of your yard.
Yeah.
You have to supply the rake and the bags.
Okay.
That's part of the charge as well.
Yeah. Hold on. Ron says, is Rico like your boss that says, just do the thing, not knowing how difficult the thing really is?
I know how difficult the thing is.
Also, Craig makes a really good point. A cottonwood leaf, if you get those trees that have little propellers.
Oh, I don't pick those up. You just leave those.
So that makes it look dirty, though.
No,
so then you're kind of just half bleeping the job.
No, you just leave those everywhere. I'm talking leaves. Those aren't leaves. Those are propellers. Those are different.
All right, let's talk Husker football. Nebraska hosts Northwestern this Saturday. Okay.
This is ridiculous.
Nebraska hosts Northwestern this Saturday. I was doing some research going back, over the last decade here. And I really want to get your guys' thoughts on this before we talk to Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska here in about 12 minutes or so. Nebraska, we've always talked about how important it is coming out of a bye week that they show that they used the bye week productively, right?
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, Nebraska, this is not just a Scott Frost issue. This is not a Mike Riley issue. This is not a Matt Rule issue either. This is a Nebraska program issue. Let me read you. I sent this tweet out earlier, and you can go check it out at Nick_Sander on Twitter here. Nebraska football has not gone over 500 the remainder of the season after their bye week since 2014. 2014 was, and you can kind of, most of the time, sometimes not, that's not so much. Most of the time, you can think of the bye week as like the halfway point, right? A lot of fans will split it up and say, well, we played all right in the first half of the season, played really good football in the second half of the season. Well, obviously, the bye week. Nebraska's bye week this year comes basically at the halfway point because they have 6 games remaining in 2023. Well, Nebraska finished 4-3 in their final 7 games after a bye week in 2014, and that was their last time that they've gone over 500 following a bye week throughout the rest of the season. 2015, they went 1-1.
Such a weird stat.
It is. 2015, 1-1. 2016, 4-4. 2017, they went 1-4. They did not have a bye in 2018. They went 1-4 in 2019.
They didn't have a bye in 2018?
They didn't have a bye in 2020. And they didn't know because they didn't have in 2018 because Akron got canceled. So they used that as their bye.
Oh, you're right.
2021, they went 0-4. And 2022, they went 3-5 after their bye week. I mean, we're talking, this is now, 10 plus years of where your second half of the season has been rough. And I get it. You're normally playing better opponents. Mm-hmm. There will be the Wisconsin, the Iowas, those types of matchups.
It's the teams that know you more.
In the later parts of the year, absolutely. But then there's also something to be said in my eyes of that you should be playing your best football
towards
in
the latter
November
half of the season.
And that's where Nebraska's issues have lied. Like Nebraska can limp through the non-con and games against Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech, and that's fine, and they'll win. But the same mistakes that they're committing in those games might not result in a loss like they would against a Wisconsin, against an Iowa, right? And so when we look at this year, my question to you is this. What constitutes a successful year one for Matt Rule? And go a little deeper than just a bowl game. Because I think obviously, right? But Nebraska, is it, once again, show that you have done something productive after the bye. And how do we always judge everything? What's the ultimate judgment? Wins and losses. It's what have you been able to show us on the field, not necessarily tell us. And injuries, yes. Are they going to hurt Nebraska? Certainly. Are they also part of it? Unfortunately, absolutely. And so when we look at these remaining 6 games, are you happy with a 3-3 record? Probably, because I guess you make it a bowl game. And as we just illustrated to you guys, Nebraska has really struggled in the second half of the year.
Like if you beat Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State, but you lose to Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa. Yeah. You would take that, right?
Yeah.
Because you're beating the teams that you look at as, and the high and mighty Nebraska, lesser than you. Maryland had a good start to their season. They haven't done too great as of late with that loss to Illinois, but still, again, as I said, a good start to the season. Wisconsin and Iowa have kind of just had your number over the years. Yes, you beat Iowa last year, but that was the first time in Lord knows how many games. So if you take that, you win those games, you could just say a bowl game because, and I know that you don't want to hear that, and that's, kind of low-hanging fruit, just saying, oh, if Nebraska goes to a bowl game, that's a successful season. Yeah. But at the same time, you factor in all of the injury just on the offensive side of the ball. The defense would like a lot more, and the way the defense is playing, they deserve more wins than just 6 wins to get to a bowl game. But on the offensive side of things, it's been a struggle. You've had injuries. You've had to deal with an offensive line that's a little suspect. You're playing a redshirt sophomore quarterback who you didn't think was going to play this season with Jeff Sims at the helm, and you had to bench your starter that you had transfer in. You lost your top 2 wide receivers. You lost your top 2, according to them, Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda is going to be one of their top 2 receivers. You lose your top 2 running backs.
Well, and so is Xavier Betts also.
Well, you have 3. You lose your top 3 receivers. And all of this that you've dealt with just on the offensive side of things, if you can go that second half of the season and show, I want to say marginal improvement, but I don't know what that would look like or what that would even be. You're scoring, what are they scoring? 19-ish points a game?
Yeah.
If you get up to 23 for the second half of the season, do you take that if you're a Nebraska fan? You look at that, that's marginal improvement on the offensive side of things. And that would be something you did in the bye week. You changed some things up and your offense was playing better. And I think you would take that. I would take that.
Here's what Big Bird said: have a 3-game winning streak, right? And what would 3 wins get you, right? That magical 6. I think when you look at statistics, Nebraska's pass defense hasn't been that great this year, statistically speaking. They haven't committed or caused too many interceptions. They face a couple pass heavy teams in the Louisiana Techs. The Northern Illinois could not run
Colorado.
the ball to save their life. Colorado, obviously. But I also don't think now you're not going to see a massive change in that pass defense number because of the teams that you're about to play. So I let's look at rush defense, right? Nebraska, conversely, has not played the best rushing offenses this year.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to face a lot better rushing offenses here in the second half. So Nebraska currently in the country sits with the 4th best rushing defense. They're allowing just over 75 yards per game, if I remember correctly. They've allowed, I think, 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns all season long. But now it's all right, expectations going forward in year 1 of a coach, and with a rushing defense that now has gotten your one of your best players in Luke Reimer back fully healthy. What's the expectation? To finish in the top 10?
Mm-hmm.
Top 10. If the 10th best rushing defense currently sits Miami, and these will obviously change. Miami allows almost 90 yards per game. If you're keeping opponents under 100 yards, it once again becomes this factor of, okay, we're holding Big Ten offenses, specifically Big Ten West offenses, that aren't necessarily multidimensional like an Ohio State or Penn State is.
No.
They're not necessarily as balanced either.
Not as many athletes
at the skill positions.
Yes.
Right? So if you're sitting here going, all right, we're holding Nebraska's defense is holding their opponents in the Big Ten West to under 100 yards, just for easy of conversation's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you should have a good enough offense to get you that? To make it to where you're winning games? Because your defense, it becomes this factor of how much more are you going to ask your defense to do?
Mm-hmm.
And you can always ask more of a side and stuff. And I think Nebraska is going to continue asking more and more of their defense. But to this point, what's the expectation? What's going to constitute a good second half here for Nebraska football? Yes, the wins and losses, that's great. Nebraska also has a relatively light back half of the schedule, if you want to be honest.
Honestly, you could put it this way. The second half of the season, what would constitute success is to continue doing what you're doing. The wins and losses will follow, but just continue, especially on the defensive side, what you're doing, holding teams to less than 100, especially with these teams, like you just said, with these teams you're facing. If you hold Wisconsin, Iowa, Purdue, Northwestern under 100 yards rushing, you feel really good about winning that game.
Well, and let's also be honest. I mean, to Rico's point there, what's that all feature? Consistency. What's been lacking in Nebraska football's program over the last 10 plus years? It's consistency. I mean, think about what we just said there. Nebraska's been able to get a couple wins in non-con in the last 10 years. Because once again, I wanted to make this conversation not just a Matt Rule or Scott Frost conversation. This is also Mike Riley and the tail end of Bo Pelini, right?
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me. I mean, Big Bird's point, you said 3-game winning streak. We haven't had that in 2016. Once again, to that point of you should be playing your best football in November, right? When it matters most.
Yep.
Then Nebraska historically in November over the last 10 years has been atrocious. You're playing better teams but you also should be expecting more of yourself at that point. That's when you're playing Wisconsin. That's when you're playing Minnesota normally. That's when you're playing Iowa. And so even in 2016, the last year that Nebraska had a 3-game winning streak, you still finished out the season after your bye at just an even 500. And that's fine, I guess, if that's what you want, if that is going to be okay, if the expectation is okay. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Nebraska fans, we know this, and we also know looking ahead to the next couple of years, 500 is not going to get you a whole lot of success, specifically within the Big Ten Conference. And so I kind of made a jarring comment earlier this morning because I said it without realizing maybe the magnitude or what it truly meant when you think deeper about it. Like, this is the last year that Nebraska fans and us sitting here are going to be able to say, look how gross the Big Ten West is. Because there's not going to be a Big Ten West.
It's all gone.
It's great. That's great if you're going to beat Wisconsin and Iowa.
There will be a Western portion of the Big Ten.
But specifically, like Nebraska, the Big Ten Conference might feature, what is it? One of the 3 playoff caliber types of teams in the Big Ten East, and then a team that might be averaging less than 15 points offensively. And this is Iowa speaking, they've had more punting yards than offensive yards in some of their games. Last week, by the way, this is a freaky stat. They won, I think it was like 15-9 or 15-6 against Wisconsin. Did not take a single snap offensively inside the Badgers' red zone. Think about that.
That's ridiculous.
Is that I mean, it's gross, but you figured out a way to win a game.
Deacon Hill had 53 passing yards.
I'll say it one more time before we get to Steve of Inside Nebraska here. Iowa did not take a single snap inside Wisconsin's 20-yard line, and they won a game.
That's a weird
You can't do that against Oregon. You can't do that against a Washington. And frankly, like, offensively, it shouldn't be good enough. No. It wouldn't be good enough. And so that's where, once again, we ask you, what's going to constitute a second half, a positive second half? What are you looking for this week, next week, and the following 4 weeks after that to say, yeah, Nebraska's coaching staff, for the first time in a very long time, at what it feels like, they use the bye week productively. They always talk about it. What are you able to do during the bye week? Mm-hmm. Let's go see it now. Let's go see it on Saturday. Let's go see it next week. Let's go see it the following week. Let's go ahead and take our break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. We'll ask him those questions and more coming up next on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com. where they're committed to you every step of the way. Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Hear stories from the program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In dealing with the high interest rates, it's very important that you get as much bang for the buck. And that's what our Remington Homes is all about.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, whether you want painted trim or other upgrades. Those are all options with our Remington Homes. If you're looking for more affordability and streamlined, you're probably better off with a Remington Home. Our goal there is to give you a good product for the right price in budget.
Home building is easier with a Remington Home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Fall for savings at Bonsall Pool and Spa. Beginning October 13th, customers can take advantage of great cash and financing options on hot spring spas. Get up to $1,000 off a new High Life Collection spa or $500 off a new Limelight Collection spa when you pay in full, or get 0% APR for 60 months when you finance. This amazing offer ends October 23rd. Visit them at 33rd and Pioneers to learn more on how you can fall for savings at Bonsall Pool and Spa.
The weather is getting colder, the leaves are falling, and hockey season is back in full effect. Lock in your seats for all 3 Stars games next month for the price of 2 games by purchasing a November package today. You'll get tickets for Military Night on November 4th against Cedar Rapids, the November 17th playoff rematch versus Des Moines, and the Blackout Wednesday game against Tri-City on November 22nd. Don't miss out on 3 great nights at the Icebox. Get your tickets now at LincolnStars.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
It's time to close out the 2023 high school football regular season right here on 93.7 The Ticket. Hey guys, it's Nick Sainer. Join me and the Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman this Thursday and Friday for a doubleheader in the final week of the regular season. First up on Thursday, it's a matchup of 2 3-5 overall teams as they fight for the final playoff spot. Miller North travels to Lincoln to face off against the Silverhawks of Lincoln Southwest. And then on Friday, it's a top 10 clash between Gretna and the Lincoln East Spartans. All that and more coming your way this Thursday and Friday for high school football on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I don't believe you people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You may be asking yourself, are Nick and Rico running a little bit behind schedule? And your answer from us would be a resounding yes.
Absolutely not. Oh.
A resounding yes.
My bad.
So we want to publicly thank Steve, Mark of Inside Nebraska for being patient with us because, Steve, we have a very important question to ask you right out of the gate.
Probably the most important question we've ever had to ask you before.
And this will supersede any question you'll ever ask Matt Rule, too. Okay?
100%.
Wow, I'm on pins and needles here, guys.
How do you feel about leaves?
Leaves, like from trees?
Yes.
Yeah, that is leaves, yes.
They're you know what? I'm pro leaf. I'll say I'm pro leaf, guys. What about you?
Heck yeah, he's pro leaf.
I'm pro leaf on when they're on the tree branch.
Okay.
Anti-leaf once they fall onto the ground.
Yeah, they're kind of a pain to rake up, when they start falling, but I'm not going to let that, take away from my love of trees with leaves on them, I guess. So,
thank you, Steve.
This is a solid question, but guys, I'm pro leaf and I will gladly go out and rake my yard when they fall.
Thank you, Steve. That's all I needed.
Rico,
yeah, absolutely. Off to a hot start today, guys. I love this.
Well, so far, you and Rico are the only two people that we've actually heard from.
Yeah, apparently everybody hates trees and oxygen, so that's a thing.
Wow. Yeah. I suggest they go back and take science class, or biology, or whatever it is, and just gain the appreciation for these once again.
I said it during the break, and I'll say it publicly on air. We just need it like the Lorax, where they just sell bottled air.
Okay. Yeah, I can handle that.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Clean the environment. No, I'm just kidding.
Who's the Onceler?
Yeah. All right, Steve. Hey, thanks for being patient with us, man. Okay, so we were having the conversation in the first segment of Nebraska hasn't had a good second half of the season in a very long time, and they haven't necessarily won many games coming out of a bye week in a very long time. So I'll ask you the same question that Rico and I were kind of posing to our listeners. What will constitute a good second half of the season, more going deeper than just making a bowl game with the 6 wins?
Well, I think what would mean a successful second half for me is just doing what you're expected to do, I guess, if that makes sense. If you look at the Northwestern game, I think a lot of people look at this matchup coming up on Saturday, and on paper it looks like Nebraska should win. But my question is, how are they going to respond? How are the Huskers going to respond from all this positivity that they came into the bye week with, right? I mean, everybody is kind of expecting them to win this game, but my question is, are you going to go out and do everything that's asked of you and not do anything? Are you going to turn the ball over, or are you going to allow a bad Northwestern team to put up more points on the board than they have? Just going out and, I guess, doing your jobs that you're expected to do, I guess. And when you look at the remaining schedule, there's a lot of positivity out there. I think a lot of people are looking at the upcoming opponents, these next 6 games, and you see multiple wins on there. Can they go out and achieve that? And obviously my first question before you mentioned that bowl talk was, can you get to 6 wins first? Because there are winnable games on the schedule as well. So it's just going to be, can you go out and do what you were expected to do? Can you go out and do your job? Nebraska hasn't done that in recent seasons in the second half of the season, but I'll have to go back and look at the schedules from those most recent years to see how tough they were. But this upcoming slate, I wouldn't call it really tough, but again, Nebraska's not in position to be expecting to just show up and win a football game over an inferior opponent like Northwestern might be, for example. So I think just going out and doing what they're supposed to do and doing their job and not making things harder than they're supposed to be, in other words.
Well, and we're talking to Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska here. And Steve, I guess building off of that, where are you at and what's your reaction? Because it feels like there's just a lot of excitement and just anxiousness, but in a good way, for the second half of the year. Like, there's a really positive feeling, I think, in this fan base. Maybe it's because they went into the bye week with a win, but I guess just where are you at? Because it feels such like an uncommon feeling right now in the fan base, because they are 3-3, and it feels like those 6 wins are within such a close reach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's because of the schedule. I mean, in recent years, I don't know if it's been this challenging. The second half of the season has been that challenging, but when you look at this year with Northwestern, Northwestern's an interesting team in my opinion because we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback. If it's Ben Bryant, the sixth-year guy who's on his third program of his career, maybe it's he just makes that offense a little bit better than the backup, Brandon Sullivan, who's more of a runner than thrower, and Ben Bryant is more of a thrower than runner. And then you look at Purdue, Hudson Card, that game's going to be a toss-up in my opinion. But like when you look at all these remaining offenses that Nebraska's stellar defense, the stout defense has to play, nobody really jumps off the page at you. And I think it's because of the Big Ten conference is down, I guess, outside of those, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Everybody else kind of reminds me of the Pac-12 where everybody can beat everybody. And so I think that's kind of, and Nebraska is still in it right now after the bye week. And I think that's what's giving a lot of fans hope that things can turn around. And if Nebraska can find a way to win 3 more games and get yourself to a bowl game, that's going to create so much momentum both on the field and off of it in recruiting and just generating momentum for the Matt Rule era and generating excitement and getting people talking about Nebraska again. I think that's what is kind of different about this year is because in previous years, once the bye week hit and then you lost a game or lost 2 games, season was over. But the bye week is coming off the bye week right now, and then you have Northwestern. Northwestern's a bad football team who can't stop the run. I think Nebraska's probably going to rush for around over 300 yards if I had to guess. I really feel confident in that. Then you look at Purdue, Michigan State, Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa. These are all offenses. These are all quarterbacks that aren't going to blow you away at all. So I just think that the lack of strength of the schedule, the Big Ten teams, and just being in position to have a postseason run, that's all combining to create excitement again with Nebraska football. And that's exactly what Matt Rule is hired to do. And he's halfway there to a bowl game, which I think says a lot about him.
We're speaking with Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska, and Steve, I guess you kind of answered it in a roundabout way, but I want to ask you, what's more likely to happen, or what's more likely in your eyes, that the defense takes a step back from how they've been playing this first half of the season, or that the offense takes a step forward with a half of a season done under this Marcus Satterfield offense, and maybe not exactly the exact same way, but kind of what South Carolina did with Satterfield, where they weren't the greatest in the first half and then took that step forward, or at least Spencer Rattler wasn't the greatest in the first half and then took a step forward in the second half.
Yeah, I think the defense, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the defense is going to continue being stout the rest of the season. So I'm kind of looking toward the offense to get more comfortable with more games it plays. And if Heinrich Harburg continues to be QB1, I really like that kid's ceiling and how much he can grow and develop into a better passing quarterback. Just as the more games he plays, the more snaps he plays. I just think Heinrich Harburg is going to continue to get better. So I think Nebraska's offense is going to take a step forward in the second half of this season. They're going to lean on that run game as long as the offensive line stays healthy. Now the offensive line has, I think it's just, it's an interesting discussion with the offensive line. They're a much maligned unit over these years, especially with the fan base. And they did the offensive line deserves some of it, but I think that just like the coaches have tried saying, it's not that bad at the offensive line. I think the offensive line has steadily improved. It's gelling as a unit. And I think the next stretch, starting with this Northwestern game against the Northwestern defensive line, that's pretty leaky. The defense isn't very good. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for rushing yards coming up against Northwestern and Purdue and Michigan State and Maryland. So I expect the offense, Marcus Satterfield's offense, to kind of take a step forward and continue to improve. With Heinrich Harburg or Jeff Sims or whoever is out there at quarterback, I expect the offense to take a step forward.
Steve, it's interesting because you talked about, obviously Heinrich Harburg's passing and the ceiling for Heinrich Harburg. Doesn't have a whole lot of options to throw it to right now, right? You have obviously Malachi Coleman getting his first start. And I think we're going to continue seeing more of Jaden Doss just because this staff just loves Jaden Doss, and I think rightfully so, right? He would have probably played a lot earlier in the year if it wasn't for his injury. So I think you look around here, I guess, what should the expectation be for Nebraska's ability to throw the ball here in the second half when you have a lot of younger guys that are now being forced to play prominent roles?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to generate, I guess, a consistent passing game because with these young guys at receiver, Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, you're right. It's going to be tough for Jaden Doss, especially I think because of the arm injury. He wasn't able to be out there at practice for long stretches of camp, and then during the season, now all of a sudden he's cleared to play, and he's on the travel roster at Illinois, and he's out there for 5 snaps. Running around trying to get comfortable. So it's going to be an adjustment for him and all the other true freshman receivers, just trying to get a hold of what game speed is like in the Big Ten Conference and the physicality that it takes to, say, beat a corner on bump and run coverage or something like that. All that is going to be a learning process for these guys who are playing for the first time. And it might not look pretty with some of these guys, with some of these cats out there. Which will, not maybe limit the offense a little bit through the air. But, if the run game can get going and maybe a defense dedicates another body to the tackle box, that's just going to create more room for these guys to run down the field and show what they can do. So I don't know if Nebraska can average 175, 200 passing yards per game, something like that, maybe even a little less, like 150, something like that, just to keep defenses on their toes, to let them know that, hey, Nebraska's offense can hurt you a little bit if you dedicate another body to the tackle box. I think that would be beneficial for the offense.
Steve, I'm going to try to phrase this as clearly as I can because it's kind of might be a lengthy question or I guess just statement, but I was kind of surprised up until this point that we maybe haven't seen more Emmett Johnson or Quentin Ives, because we kind of know where the staff is at with Anthony Grant, but he's obviously had his share of some issues throughout the season. They moved Josh Fleeks to that running back, but he's not necessarily playing a whole lot. I just look at this like, how do I want to say it? This running back in the traditional running game with the running backs. And I feel like this staff might like Emmett Johnson during the week and truly mean it. But then when it gets to Saturday and you're in the moment, maybe they don't feel like he's that guy quite yet. I don't know if there's really a question in this, but it just feels like they could be, and I truly believe them that they like the potential of Emmett and Quentin and Josh Fleeks, but there hasn't been necessarily consistency or we haven't necessarily seen that show on Saturdays, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And when I look at the running back situation, Anthony Grant is Anthony Grant. He's obviously the veteran in there. He's going to get a ton of carries and everything. And Heinrich Harburg is Heinrich Harburg. He's an excellent runner. He's a great athlete. So he's going to pitch in that run game too. But yeah, like you mentioned, Nick, the traditional handoff run game just hasn't been there behind Anthony Grant. And it makes me kind of lead me to believe that maybe the staff just doesn't trust these young guys yet with Emmett Johnson. Now, Emmett Johnson did take a couple counter runs against Illinois and do good with them, but the thing that he also did was put the ball on the carpet. And for a young guy, a second-year guy who's finally out there getting an opportunity for him to fumble, I think that might have set him back a little bit. In regards to Quentin Ives, true freshman, I just wonder how difficult it is in a Marcus Satterfield offense. And how much of a difference it is transitioning from high school to college to play right away. And when you're a running back in a Big Ten program, you're not just expected to run the ball, right? You're supposed to understand blitzes. You're supposed to pick them up. You're supposed to be physical and stick your face into the chest of a blitzing linebacker or a defensive end, somebody like that. So there's just so much that goes into being a Big Ten running back, in my opinion. And as athletic as Quentin Ives looks, and I've seen him in pregame warmups, that cat looks awesome. 6'2", 185, 190 pounds. You can just tell that guy has, a run threat, pass catching threat written all over him. it's just really hard right now just because of the freshmen. And, earlier in the season when you had your full boat of the running backs in that room, Anthony Grant, Ramir Johnson, Gabe Irvin, I just don't know how many reps there were with the first team offense or even the second team offense for those young guys. And all of a sudden now they're just being tossed in with the starters right now at practice probably. And it's not looking as smooth because, maybe it's their first reps doing it. So I think everything is new to these young guys, especially Emmett Johnson. And, he just can't fumble in that situation because I think that's just going to turn him off to the coaching staff.
Yeah, there was a little concern for me specifically. I mean, just against Illinois when Anthony Grant got banged up and Emmett Johnson had to come in. I thought, man, see, this is like, that was where it was like, all right, you expected, hopefully, I think we all hoped to see maybe flashes of Emmett Johnson against the Northern Illinois, against the Louisiana Techs, and maybe obviously in maybe garbage time against Michigan, but you just didn't see him to the extent that maybe we thought, because now Nebraska's had their own issues, obviously, on offense with injuries to where, oh no, if Anthony Grant goes out, that little bit of traditional run game that you did have, it almost goes to zero, and it's solely only quarterback run at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. If Anthony Grant does go down, I mean, you have no choice but to play Emmett Johnson, and no choice but to play Josh Fleeks, and maybe Quentin Ives would get in there. But it's just not a great situation at running back, and those season-ending injuries just killed the room basically. So, you just got to, if you're the coaching staff right now and a Husker fan, you just got to pray that Anthony Grant just stays healthy and stays upright and finishes the season out strong. But because behind him, it just doesn't look good, and that just puts more pressure on the quarterback run game with Heiner Carberg or Jeff Sims or whoever is out there. Maybe Jeff Sims can get involved. Maybe he has a special package coming up that we can get him on the field and see what he can do and give the defense another look and something to prepare for in the upcoming week.
Yeah, you lost one of your best pass blocking running backs when Ramir Johnson unfortunately got banged up and had to have season-ending surgery. All right, Steve. Hey, last one before we let you go really quickly. We unfortunately got to you a little bit later, so sorry for keeping you a little bit later than usual. But I guess when you look at this weekend's game specifically against Northwestern, you said it, that Nebraska may be able to rush the ball for over 300 yards. I guess, should Nebraska Nebraska fans read into it if Nebraska does go out and dominates from start to finish? Because this feels like, I mean, you look at the statistics and the rankings for Northwestern's defense, and you mentioned it, 107th or whatever, 108th in rushing defense. They're in the low 80s in scoring defense. Not that Nebraska's offense has played that well, but this Northwestern defense is really struggling at times.
Yep, they are. Over 200, almost 250 rushing yards from Minnesota. Duke, which is a really good football program. Shout out to Mike Elko, who might not be there for much longer at Duke. They rushed for 268 yards on Northwestern. Howard, an FCS program, just racked up over 150 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns in a close game a couple weeks ago before Northwestern went on its own bye week. There will be opportunities, and I think Nebraska and its staff will go into this game on Saturday wanting to make a statement. And that statement is, we are bigger and stronger than you up front, and we are going to pound the rock. And I really think that Satterfield is going to want to establish the line of scrimmage right away on the very first series of the game and just continue to hammer that rock. And I think a lot of people are going to get involved. Heinrich Harburg, obviously, Anthony Grant, maybe some of those running backs that we were just talking about, maybe they get in there. But I just think that if Nebraska goes out and just puts this game away, like in the third quarter, and some backups get some very valuable reps in the fourth quarter, and they rush for over 300, 350 yards, that's going to be exactly what I myself am expecting Nebraska to do. And I think if they go out there and do that, they do their job, they get the win, and they can go and Purdue for they can go and prepare for a kind of a weird Purdue team that I think might be a little bit tougher than I think some people around here might originally think. So if Nebraska just goes out and controls the line of scrimmage and shoves Northwestern's defense around a little bit and runs the ball for around 300, 350 yards, I think that's going to be a job well done, and you move on.
Yeah, the Big Ten West, it's gross, ugly, and inconsistent. Purdue drops 44 on Illinois, but then Illinois is able to beat Maryland.
Makes sense.
Just a couple short weeks later. So just kind of crazy world. All right, Steve. Hey, appreciate it as always, man. Good stuff.
Something real quick.
Go ahead.
Are you excited for blue outlines
Blue outlines
on the jerseys this weekend? People forget that's happening.
I forgot that alternates were happening.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. I'm so excited for that, guys.
That's kind of what I was expecting.
There you go. All right, Steve. Hey, appreciate it as always, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
There he is. Steve Marik, Inside Nebraska. Appreciate his time as always. Let's go to break. We bring in Strick for the crossover. Austin's out today, so I'm filling in for Austin. So it'll be Strick and myself on the block. So that's why we were okay to go a little bit later with our good friend Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. Let's take our break. Crossover coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The weather is getting colder, the leaves are falling, and hockey season is back in full effect. Lock in your seats for all 3 Stars games next month for the price of 2 games by purchasing a November package today. You'll get tickets for Military Night on November 4th against Cedar Rapids, the November 17th playoff rematch versus Des Moines, and the Blackout Wednesday game against Tri-City on November 22nd. Don't miss out on 3 great nights at the Icebox. Get your tickets now at LincolnStars.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Fall for savings at Bonsall Pool and Spa. Beginning October 13th, customers can take advantage of great cash and financing options on hot spring spas. Get up to $1,000 off a new High Life Collection spa or $500 off a new Limelight Collection spa when you pay in full, or get 0% APR for 60 months when you finance. This amazing offer ends October 23rd. Visit them at 33rd and Pioneers to learn more on how you can fall for savings at Bonsall Pool and Spa.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. But there are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers 118th anniversary sale is going on right now. This sale only comes around once a year, so don't miss your chance to save 20% or more on everything diamond. Bridal and engagement rings, bracelets, earrings, and all diamond jewelry, 20% off or more. Our lowest prices of the year, now through October 25th, only at Sutter Heyman's 118th anniversary sale. Lincoln and Grand Island or SutterHeyman.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Kreekak, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I vomited last night.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
I literally vomited. I threw up.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the show. Final segment here. We bring in good friend Stricky. What up, Strick?
What's going on? What's going on?
How's it going?
Doing good. Doing good. Looking forward to a good show. Running with my guy Tricky Nicky.
There you go. How you
I
feel?
mean, it'll be a decent show.
How do you feel about how do you feel about leaves, Strick?
Not too fond of them,
Yeah,
especially in my
me neither.
backyard or front yard.
It's fine. You don't like.
I mean,
oxygen.
everybody else around can have them as long as they don't
just
blow.
keep them out of my yard.
Whatever.
That's
Unless
how I
you
feel,
wanna
man.
break
Whatever,
up.
dude.
Yeah, I hear you. Stricky, we got a good show coming up. We're gonna do a pretty quick crossover here. Just because we are running a little bit behind. But we got a good show lined up. Got Evan Bland
Yeah, he's gonna join us.
at 2:30. You have plenty of good conversations as well about Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
Because there was a tweet that I saw yesterday, and On3 actually has written an article about it now, to where things are starting to really get uncomfortable for Jimbo Fisher, to where if things continue to trend in the wrong direction, they're talking about, hey, we don't care about the $69 million buyout or $67.5 million buyout. We don't want you.
Yeah, I don't think things are getting uncomfortable for Jimbo because he's going to get paid regardless.
Well,
Things are getting uncomfortable for Texas A&M.
That's what I was saying.
Because you're going to be out of a coach and you're going to have to pay him all the money.
And then you're gonna have to go get another one.
Exactly. Well, and the price of coaches now, right, with Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, you want to talk about all the other players as well, to where, players being the other programs that are joining the SEC. like we talked about it, Texas A&M doesn't want to be viewed the way Nebraska doesn't want to be viewed as a bottom feeder in whatever conference that they're in. Like Missouri.
That's why this year is an important year.
Man, it's crucial. It's crucial.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that. I wanted to get the
some
sounder.
quarterback grades too.
Yeah, I wanted to get the sounder though of Jimbo, where it was like, well, it'd be the sounder of Bo Pelini going, if they want to fire me, go ahead. And have it be like when Jimbo sees the buyout, he's like, if they want to fire me, go ahead.
No, you do that, and then Jimbo sees the buyout, and then you just do the Ed Orgeron. What door do you want me out of? Where do you want me going, or what door do you want me to go out of?
Yeah, you tell me which door you want me to go out of. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so and Ed Orgeron's was a fraction of what Jimbo's is about to be. So that's where it's like it feels like it's been such a bad experiment or experience for Texas A&M with Jimbo that like it's not going to get better.
Well, the question is could you have seen this coming? Because you know his Florida State,
well, and it was weird. Like outside of the
like
I was just gonna say, like outside of the one trip to the Natty where they had Auburn,
where you had your entire offense and defense got drafted.
I would like to say there were two players in that game that I really enjoyed, and it was Kelvin Benjamin for Florida State. He was a wide receiver, and then he turned to a tight end in the NFL because he had too many Popeyes.
He was one Popeyes biscuit away from being a tight end.
Anyway,
he was a big boy.
Shout out to Booger McFarland.
There was that. But then also maybe top 5 in my favorite college football players list, Trey Mason, a running back for Auburn.
Trey Mason was that dude.
Trey Mason was the starting running back for the Auburn Tigers that game. And I'll admit it, I was cheering big time for Auburn. I'm pretty sure that was when Nick Marshall was the quarterback as well.
He was wearing
14. And it was Nick Marshall and Trey Mason. And gosh, I liked that Auburn team a lot. But nonetheless, I mean, you're right. Strick is outside of that Natty. What did he really do to deserve the $100 million deal? And it's just, but that's what also coaches are kind of going for now. Is those long-term secure contracts for them.
A lot of guaranteed money.
Hey, I mean, the universities kind of have to pay up or not hire a quality coach like that.
You're either going with a proven, Power 5 coach, or you're going to have to go down to the Group of 5 or lower level and try to bring somebody up that you have faith in developing into a proven coach.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You just don't know. Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Michigan State found themselves in a very similar situation. That one run that Michigan State had with Kenneth Walker and that group, and
they hitched the
Mel
trailer.
Tucker, and they jumped on board and got on the bandwagon and got caught. With a rough one as well. So I mean, and it's the same thing. I mean, when you look at what happened over at Colorado, is it something that you can say, you had enough of a sample size to feel good at paying that money? But I mean, like you said, some guys want to try to reinvent it and make the
I miss Nebraska with Scott Frost.
Logo. Yeah. I think that's kind of weird because at the same time, I don't think Scott even wanted to be here.
Well,
Like,
he didn't want to at first, like when he was coming out of Oregon before he got the UCF job. He said he's glad they didn't offer it because he wasn't ready or didn't want it. But then UCF, I mean, he had 2 years of head coaching experience.
I think okay. So here's where I kind of land on that.
I understand.
At some point down I understand as well. At some point down the road, once Nebraska, firmly moves on, and I'm sure Scott has already moved on, but like I'm talking like 25, 30, 40 years down the road, there's going to be conversations and there's going to be things that are talked about from like somebody's going to get that conversation with Scott of like, truly, how did you feel? Where like
what happened?
What was going through your mind? And it's gonna probably be dark. It's probably gonna be pretty ugly, but like that's going to be ultimately the way that every hatchet is buried, is just having a conversation.
It's gonna be an interesting documentary.
We don't know when that's gonna happen, but like it's gonna be down the road quite a while when things are all over, and maybe Nebraska has had 5 or 6 or maybe even 10 coaches in the meantime. But like just something's going to happen to where all that stuff's going to come to light, and we're going to have conversations about it in 3 decades or whatever.
4 more national championships later. That's when
and it's going to be it's
great hope.
it's still going to. I wouldn't say, as much as we don't want to admit it, like it's still going to somewhat tug at heartstrings because people wanted it to work so badly. And so there's going to be a time and space, and there's a time for that and everything, even if you don't really want it to happen. So, all right, we also got quarterback grades. We're going to grade some of the college quarterbacks midway point through the season, and just plenty of other stuff coming up on the block. So make sure you stick around for that. Good show today. Really fast moving show. We talked second half expectations. We talked a little bit about leaves. I
very
guess,
important
at
to
the
the world.
First half of the first segment.
Very important.
Huge thanks to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska for coming on, talking all things Husker football. But make sure you stick around on the block with myself and Strick coming up here in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. This has been the Happy Hour. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Adios.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. There are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today.
I'm ready.
Burgers?
Check.
Chips?
Check.
Icy cold beer?
Check. Except this one.
I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread?
I can't stop eating it.
Rico,
relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local